Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana has thought of
The facts don't matter.
All right. I'll get it working. Hi, everybody. I could probably make just an art piece of this and get just as many viewers. Just play my music and go. 14 million TikTok views later. It's amazing. I don't know why it took off. Just basically all he does is play music. All right. Oh, that's why. Now, why? Yes, you should be able to hear me. There you are. I told you could hear me, and yet I was being told you couldn't hear me. You can now, you could now, you can. It was always there. It just wasn't nearly loud enough compared to the music. I was just kind of speaking under it. Hello. I'm wearing my Punisher shirt today. There you go. In honor of the fact that there's never been a Punisher television show. So, just so you know. And I've had rehearsals this morning. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of very exuberant hand work, a lot of it was very exciting. Yeah. And I've got the if you'll notice, there's a green screen up. So look at that. Well, I mean, you can't look at that because it's a green screen. Oh god. But I've managed to here, wait. I should probably show you guys what I've gone through here. Let's see. Do I go in here? And I go to filters, and I take the filter, and I just temporarily turn it off. There you go. So I don't do this for long because I know I'm wise beyond my years, if not anything. And one of the things I have learned over the course of my time is never, ever post pictures of yourself with the green screen in the background. Especially, I suppose, with your mouth open, or if you're making some sort of giant, kind of like gesture like that. I'm not doing it again. Don't try. It's just not smart. It's just a good general, oh, look at that. And the alert box works, but it's not making noise. That's next step. But in the spare bedroom at the Airbnb where I am staying while I'm doing 12th night, I've got everything set up for the most part. I'm not wrong, Captain Cheeto. I am not wrong. It's just, please understand that's you got to be aware of this. All right, and then, by the way, some of you may recall that I got a community strike because allegedly I was either questioning the election or vaccines or something like that. I don't quite know. I appealed it, and they turned down my appeal. I was still found to be in violation of the community standards. Now, I have a warning, so hopefully it won't happen again because I don't know what I did. I honestly don't. That violated the community standards. It's a little tough. It's a little tough. I mean, you can't even technically call them community standards if the community is unclear on what the standard is. It's sort of like it's like calling something common sense that nobody fucking knows. Like nobody has any idea. It's a common sense kind of approach to an alligator bite. Like, how am I supposed to? All right. So anyway, so that happened. That's fun. So that's fun. And there's a couple of things I've been filming with my 360 camera. A few of the rehearsal moments, which give you a full 360 view, and you can either view it with VR glasses, or you can, on YouTube, when I post it, you'll be able to, with your mouse, move the screen around and just look around the room. So be gentle. But I've been filming the parts of the rehearsals, and I will be posting those for the patrons and the like. There you go. And I guess technically members only on YouTube will also be able to see it. So there you go. And it's like fashion. You have holes in your pants, but not in the crotch. This is true. They're recounting ballots in Arizona right now. Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, every time they do a recount, they add to Biden's numbers, so I'm not concerned. And again, we talked about this a bunch, but I don't know why wouldn't the plan be, and this is how I'm gonna get violated, this is how I'm gonna violate community service, but this is a hypothetical. Hypothetically speaking, if you were going to try and cheat to win an election, if that was actually your plan, and you knew that you were limited in the number of things that you could do, you were limited, you could only cheat so much, right? That's the theory. Like it couldn't be overwhelming where you couldn't have a Vladimir Putin election or a Saddam Hussein election, right? You couldn't, that won't help you, right? So you go, I only get it. We get it this far ahead. If they overwhelm us with other votes and stuff, then we're screwed. But this is as close as we get. And you know that you're going to use things like dead people voting and all that kind of stuff. And that's your plan. You've got underage voters. You've got legal people voting. And you're going to do this. And you're just, say, hypothetically speaking, the Republican Party under Trump and believing that, Christ wants you to lie because the Democrats are the Antichrist and Joe Biden's a baby-eating space lizard. Hypothetically. And then you realize you've lost. You lost. Not by a lot, but you definitely lost. Even with all the cheating you did, you lost. What's your next move? What do you do after that? Now that, you did all the cheating and you still lost. Well, what can you obviously do? You can go, there was cheating. Dead people voted, because you can't tell who they voted for. You can't tell. The votes are blind from the envelopes. The votes are blind from the source. It's just numerically those. So if you find out there were 20,000 fake votes, one would think that you would also have to attribute that those 20,000 fake votes went to the winner and not the loser. And one would think in a court setting or any kind of a recount setting, you would have to prove that the fake votes, the ones that, the dead people and all that kind of stuff, that you go, well, we found out that these people, because the recount's not going to change anything. But if you go back through and you go, there were 10,000 votes that were attributed to these people. Well, we don't know who they voted for. We just know they're dead. So we're going to take theirs out, and we're going to assume that they went to the winner. Why would you do that? Maybe the cheater lost as fair and square as life is, and you're stuck with that. And so now but now your next stage, you've got two possible wins. The top win is that you win and get away with it. The bottom win would be now you cry foul, and you know where the bodies are buried. It's just because you did the murdering, as opposed to, I followed them. Get it? Anyways, it's a fascinating conundrum, hypothetically. Hello. So, yes, Facebook will let Russia do what they want for years, but not how. No, am I kicked off of Facebook? Am I still there? Am I present? Don't give me a page of looking. All right, go back in here. Welcome to creators. Okay, Facebook. All right, I'm there. Okay. For some reason, I wasn't logged into Facebook on there. Okay, and then I got to go two-factor. Oh, God. Identification. We'll forget it for now. Okay. We send a 6-digit code, and then it's going to a new device. When you receive your 6-digit code, I have not entered it, so I'm not going to be able to do. I'm still at Facebook. Excellent. Okay, good. All right, I'm all right then. Twitch is the same way. Twitch is doing well. There we go. I'm also sorry if I look tired today because I was up late working on lines. And up early working on lines because there's a lot of dialogue. I think I showed you guys my just a picture of some of the monologues that I have, and some of them are like I have one that's just 2 pages straight, and it all just kind of goes together. Now some of it is broken up by the other actors. But we haven't gotten to that part yet, so I learned it as a monologue, and then they have to insert their breaks in it and their responses, and then that is, it's tough. So, anyway, so, by the way, we'll start a normal show. Hi, how are you? I'm doing a normal show. Why aren't you? Why not? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Infotainmentwars.com, nudesmax.com. Soon we will have Fwank. Or Fwank speech. I'll figure out which one I'm gonna get. I think it'll be fwankspeech.com, and I'll just have Fwank. Somebody says, yeah, but you have a piece of paper in front of you. In terms of, oh, you mean the speech, the letter? Yes, but that's not the part that's hard. That's not. I mean the reading, and by the way, you memorize the letter anyways, because if you're standing on stage, this would be a big mistake. I have a letter from Olivia that I read pieces of, and 2 pieces of poetry, and then 1 little bit of prose. Well, if you don't memorize the prose, and you're out there on the night and you're standing on, and the stage lighting is such that, oh, suddenly the page is green and so is the text. What you gonna do then? So, yeah. So memorize the whole thing is the key. And it's not that big a deal because thankfully one of the greatest blessings of being a Mason is that you get used to memorizing long passages. So there we go. All right, here we go. So let's do a show. All right, and I'm kind of moving around. What's that? Oh, that's my microphone. I was like, what's behind my little sparkle thing? And then I realized that's what that was. And then that guy should be, okay, that's that. And then this should be like this. And then this should be bigger? Yes? Maybe? Now I'm going to get aesthetically all weird. Yes, there we go. Now the jar's bigger. And then you guys with the ticker tape. Whoops, that's not good. That's I can't grab anything on the screen. There it is. I'll put this up here. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, guys. There you go. Thanks, Grant. And everybody. Okay, I'll fix this. Hal, did you hear? Somebody said something. Hold on. Giuliani, what? Do you hear Giuliani's son is running for mayor? Yes, I did. Yeah, it's, you mean Eric Trump's brother? I kid. Come on. It's comedy. Comedy jokes. Speaking of comedy, who doesn't love the instant comedy that is Ben Shapiro's face? There are very few things in life that are naturally funny. There's Madeline Kahn, there's Dom DeLuise, there's lighting farts, and there's Ben Shapiro's face. And, two of them require talent, three of them. And the latter, not so much. And apparently, I don't know if you know this, but today is a day where I'm glad you're here because I need us all, to be gathered around. And please get ready to take notes because today is the day when the right tells us what we want. And what we will accept and what we will not, and what our goals are and our motivation is. Because I've been wondering for a long time. I mean, I think that I want equality and equity for everyone, and I want people to be able to rise to the highest level that's afforded to them in their lives. With the only limitations being their own personal talent and their own desire. I want people to operate as freely as possible in our society without damaging the lives of others and give them as wide a berth to do so as possible. I'm a bit of a free speech absolutist as a comedian. It might surprise some of you that I don't think there are any bad words, only bad meanings and bad feelings. And I just pick mine carefully because I don't need to use words that cut as well as carve, so I will avoid them sometimes, not because I feel they are bad or inherently bad for the descriptive use of them. Think racial and anti-gay epithets along those lines. It's just I don't find they service my conversation, and I, am intelligent enough to inform myself with a broader sense of words so that I can convey whatever feeling I'm talking about without having to stick my thumb in someone's eye during a conversation just because I feel like I should be able to. Right, that kind of thing. I mean, it's nutty. But, you're the... oh, no. Slovenian genital hammer is a... All right, we'll talk about that later. I am talking very fast, but I've been talking fast all day, so get used to the idea. So, all right, but we are lucky. We are so lucky amongst us, ladies and gentlemen. How you go? Yes, that Ben Shapiro is here to tell us how we all feel about, obviously, the George Floyd thing is the thing. I mean, nobody's flipping out about it like Greg Kelly that I've been able to find yet. But it's pretty damn close. All right, hold on. Oh, no, not AOC and on TikTok. God.
It did not matter what you said in the if. The then was...
Hold on. Whoa, this is... there's audio in and around me. So I have to turn off the Mac speakers, so I'm just hearing that. Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't want to double bounce the sound back into you. So here we go.
Always going to be the same because
look at all the hearts she's getting too. Somebody said purr. They think she's attractive or something. I mean, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. And by the way, the name, where is it? The name of this video is Why the Chauvin Guilty Verdict Will Not Satisfy the Left. 3 million subscribers, folks. 110,000 views right out of the gate. And then, he's got nearly as many. I was going to say views as eyebrow hairs, but honest to God, he looks like he's on his way to like a Eugene Levy lookalike contest. Like I'm going for young Eugene Levy. All right.
The idea is if the system is bad, then anything that justifies the system may not be that great.
So if the idea is that the system, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, honestly, yet. So it starts with such a panic that it's hard to grasp that what his interpretation is, or if what he does is he takes. This is, by the way, part of the right and how they work. Is what you do is you take a normal person, like a normal left of center human being that you kind of run across and go, yeah, they saw the video of George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, and they went, fuck that. That's terrible, and I do not agree with that, and not in my name, and why my tax dollars pay for that kind of egregious, horrifying behavior. Normal. And then they take people who were right there, who are reacting viscerally to it, who are going, we need to do something about the Chauvins of the world. This is awful. And those other cops that helped him need to be charged too. That kind of normal stuff. And then they go way off into a corner somewhere and find somebody who wrote an essay on how, policing came from slavery and there's no purpose to have cops at all. And, it'd be better if we just armed all women because if they get raped, it's because they're wearing the wrong dress and they left their gun at home. These kind of folks.
In other words, justice is the tearing down of all of the systems.
I think that's a big leap. Justice is the tearing down of all of the systems. Ben, you have a good reason to look that confused because you've said something that doesn't make sense to anyone.
The idea that Democrats are going to push forward, and this is
the idea that Democrats are going to push forward. So you guys, if you don't know, this is the idea you're supposed to push forward. You don't know this. I didn't know this till today. I'm finding it out now. I don't watch this asshole twice. Apparently this is our goal.
The next move, right?
That's the next move. We're going to tear down all the systems, everything, sewage, the electrical grid, the internet, obviously the school to prison pipeline, but along with it, chicken coops. What's another system? The FAA. You know what I mean? When are we going to have truly libertarian skies?
Is that it was never about this particular case?
It was never about this. Really? Really? This case was obviously exemplary of a concerning trend, but the verdict is very much about it, unless, of course, you just believe that, the entirety of and by the way, you have to, to believe what Ben Shapiro thinks about the Chauvin trial and the verdict, you have to believe that system is inherently anti-white cop, I guess, because the judge did nothing and allowed the brown members of the jury and the media to railroad this man into jail when he didn't deserve it. Like you have to believe, which basically means that what we're watching here in Ben Shapiro is the projection, a right-wing projection that we must believe what he believes about the system because he believes the system is inherently, and yes, that is his real voice. I am not manipulating it in any way. I do not have a heliumifier.
It's about the broader system.
The broader system.
You'll notice the language that is being used by the left today, by members of the media.
What kind of language? Like fuck you, Ben Shapiro, that kind of language? Or you mean just general descriptives? Oh, I don't know. We watched the Ben Gleck show yesterday, and he told us what words not to use. We're not using those anymore. So we're fine. We're fine.
By members of the Democratic Party is not the system worked. Usually, in the aftermath of a criminal conviction, the line that you hear very often from politicians in the media is, yes, the system worked.
So I see. So, guys, we forgot to say the system worked in this case. I mean, everyone is saying this is a turning point and it's a good sign and this is how it should turn out. And the fact that we were afraid right up to the moment is indicative of how we feel about the system, but the system definitely worked. And I think I did hear a lot, as a matter of fact. Oh, shit. Sorry, Ben. I was trying to help you out there, man. I was trying to help. I was thinking maybe we forgot to say the phrase. But for next time, when it works again and you get upset again, I will remember to say it next time.
You're not hearing that today?
No, I'm not hearing it today. I'm not. I'm by myself in a spare bedroom. Anyway, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
You're really not hearing that today?
Well, I hope so, because I'm alone in this place. I mean, I did have MSNBC on earlier, and they had the they had coverage of talking about the Chauvin trial, and they seem to say things along those lines. I don't know if they use the actual phrase. I didn't realize we had a checklist, and I know now, and I apologize.
But instead, what you're hearing is justice was done. There's a major
Yeah. You're hearing justice was done, not the system worked, okay? So justice in this case was not within the system. It's indicative of the system falls apart. So justice was done in spite of the system. Is that where we're going?
philosophical difference between justice was done and the system worked. If you say the system worked, you're providing legitimacy to the system.
This is adorable.
Left doesn't want to provide legitimacy.
No, they don't. Why don't they want to? Why not? Oh my God. Why won't you leave Lady Justice alone?
The system. Remember, the system
Remember.
is racist. Remember, the system is bigoted.
No, the system there's systemic racism in it. We're trying to remove that. Doesn't mean the system itself is inherently racist. Obviously, democracy is not racist. We're the side that's for democracy. That's what makes us Democrats. You're a conservative Republican, and therefore you believe that we're a Republican, that the individual shouldn't have a vote. And so we worked on this yesterday.
Remember, the system is the bad guy.
I do. I try to remember that. I wrote it on my ceiling, so it's the first thing I see in the morning. The system is the bad guy. The system is the bad guy. I didn't realize, though, that the system got found guilty on 3 charges. I thought it was just the bad guy. But I will see what happens when the other 4 cops go down, because maybe then.
Derek Chauvin isn't even the bad guy. Derek Chauvin is just the outgrowth of the system.
He is? I thought he was a bad guy. I thought, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously there are black cops and there are female cops and there are Sikh cops. I believe there's one in Minnesota, and he is actually able to wear his turban properly. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that is Minnesota. So I mean, obviously, if he's an outcropping of the system, then maybe we're talking about the wrong system. We're not talking about like law and order as a general concept, because all societies have some format of that. You know what I mean? Nobody's saying we need to shake up the system. You know what we need? Ice flows. All right. No.
In a certain way, a lot of folks on the left don't even believe that Derek Chauvin is responsible for his own actions.
We don't? Guys, did you guys realize we thought that he was an autonomous robot clone created by adrenochrome drinking Hollywood elites? I thought I was sure. What? He was just what? He was I'm confused, because I know where he's going with this, with the inherently policing itself is racist. So because he's a cop, how can he not be racist? He's just doing what he's told. He was just following orders. Oddly enough, well, apparently not all. Not even the majority of cops do that. So, why is he an outgrowth of the system if he's an outlier in the system?
Because they didn't prove that he was a racist.
Why are we looking at this angry Nazi paperboy? I don't know. Well, Stevie is Jewish, so I don't know if that applies technically. Obviously, in Auschwitz and other camps, if you follow, I recommend you follow the Auschwitz account on Twitter. They post stories about the individuals who were killed there and stuff. It's very fascinating. It's heartbreaking, and it's very informative. But there were capos, which would be, I guess, Jewish people in there that decided that if they live, that's all that matters, and the hell with the other ones, and they used the PowerPoint to try and escape. And a lot of them didn't, but that was the goal anyways, and I suppose that's a possibility. I'm not accusing Ben Shapiro of that, but there's obviously this is gross.
He's just the outgrowth of a systemically racist system.
Well, no, he's the outgrowth of the systemic racism that's in the system that you're trying to remove from the system so that we can have a system that is equally applied to all. Equal justice. Never mind.
He's just a widget in the system.
No, he's a widget. Well, that widget was just found guilty of 2 murder charges and manslaughter, and that widget is expecting a delivery of soap from you.
The system is bad. So they're not saying the system worked, because that would be lending gravitas and legitimacy to a system they hate. Instead, it's justice was done.
Let me see. Guys, we really have to get these phrases together so we don't upset Ben. Because if we don't, the caterpillars that live above his eyes will die.
When they say justice was done, what they mean is we got what we wanted.
Is that what we got what we wanted? This is what he thinks? This is what most people like. This is just so Chauvin, according to Ben Shapiro, is really just another OJ verdict to him. Is that what we're going with?
The only thing that changed yesterday because Chauvin was convicted as opposed to acquitted is that there weren't riots.
Oh, yeah? That's the only thing that changed? That's the only thing that changed. Well, for you, because you live in a playroom, that I guess happened after the son of the guy who did Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood snorted a bunch of blow and went to Glenn Beck's yard sale. And because you live in your imaginary little land, paid for, I guess, by the Heritage Foundation and membership in whatever club you've started, I don't know what he's talking about.
Because for the left,
oh, thank God, another angle. Look at that, and he's got battle shutters. he lives in the Avengers compound in the basement or whatever. After it was blown up, Thanos gave him, is renting what's left over to him in an alternate reality. This is Earth 614.
the outcome really didn't change. Right? For the left, it doesn't matter what the antecedent was. The consequent was always going to be the same. In the if-then statement, it did not matter what you said in the if.
In the if-then statement. Because life is an equation. Right, Ridlin boy? Oh, Ridlin, why must you make Ben Shapiro such a narrow-minded racist? Why must you teach him such narrow pattern focus that he can only see what he's seen before and only see what interferes with what he's seen before, and these are the things he judges as good and bad?
If. The then was always going to be the same. If Chauvin had been acquitted, then
there was always going to be riots. I mean, they're just basically like, according to Ben Shapiro, I guess, Democrats and especially Black Lives Matter and black people in general in cities around the country are just waiting for a moment to get their riot on. And so they're like, oh, come on, acquittal.
then they would have said this. Because Derek Chauvin was acquitted, this just shows that the American justice system is racially malevolent, that America is a deeply systemically racist place.
First of all, I understand that you're reading a cue card, that you have to keep track of the list of things that America supposedly is. But kind of, if you'd have needled on a dude's neck for 9 minutes after he'd been dead for 3 of them, because in my estimation, from listening to the testimony, it is my opinion, and it seems to be the opinion of the EMT, that George Floyd was dead for a few minutes before they arrived. And they knew it, and they kept kneeling on him because they didn't want people to see the fact that they had knelt on this dude till he was dead. And that once he died, whether it was exhaust smoke or fentanyl or whatever fantasy they want to make up is the cause of his death, they didn't fucking do anything after they knew he was dead. They didn't check his pulse. They didn't when his body collapsed. They didn't do it. They just went, "Oh shit, I'm kneeling on a dead person." Well, okay, we'll just wait for the medics to arrive and they can take him away, and I'll blame them. So, but I'm glad to know. All right, so.
And this requires that you give us inordinate power to reshape all the systems of American life so as to achieve racial equity.
Well, you shouldn't have to. If you broom out. He's very upset, by the way. Is he still looking at me? Yeah, I'm just afraid he's got some sort of weird X-Men power where his caterpillars can attack people. Just. So
okay, that was version number 1.
Is it? Because you know what I mean? That's like saying, this is, honest to God, this is a man arguing that if you'd walk off of a cliff and you'd fell, you'd just say gravity worked. But if you walked off a cliff and you floated up to the sky, you would have said clearly you would have said gravity is fake, and they would have wanted to tear down the entire, airplane industry, anything that requires thrust, drag, and lift.
Chauvin was acquitted. When Chauvin was convicted, here's the argument today.
Okay, here's our argument, guys. I didn't know what our argument was. I thought it was, oh, good. He was guilty on all 3 charges. It matched up with what my eyes showed me. Sometimes that doesn't happen in the legal system, and sometimes it's for bad reason, and sometimes it's for good. But in this particular instance, it lined up with everyone. And by the way, let's not forget that Ben and a bunch of these right-wing assholes went after the Floyd murder tape came out. They all saw it, and they were all like, well, that's different. This is obviously something awful. This is awful. Now that Chauvin's been convicted, they're like, well, this was always just, ugh. these people, they always want more.
Derek Chauvin was convicted. And this is just the first step to realizing that you have to give us more power so we can reshape the systems of American power in line with providing greater racial equity.
Well, if it's in line with greater racial equity, there really isn't a problem, per se. I mean, if they were moving towards more because what he means is, I guess this is what we're talking about. This is we're in Glenn Beck territory, aren't we? What he really means is, by racial equity, he means black racial superiority. They get to take over the system. This is their second bite at the apple of having lost the battle of the races, and they're going to take it from us. That's where his zone is. So when you say he's giving you, we're gonna use seriously, who usurps power so they can make things more even? You know what I mean? It's a revolution. And then when I'm done here, you're fine. It doesn't sound too scary, actually, the way he puts it.
It does not matter whether Chauvin was convicted or not for purposes of the agenda.
Well, yeah, it does. It's reflective of reality, and therefore the agenda and its success or failure is reflected in that. Oh, God.
In fact, it seems that there are at least a few in the media who are kind of unhappy that Chauvin was convicted because it's...
Oh, are we? God, I didn't... Guys, he does realize the difference between tears of joy and the emotion of, oh my God, it actually happened, and not like, why did they do it? I was planning this giant revolution. Why did they steal my revolution? I was going to get my loot on, right, Ben?
It seems to grant a certain legitimacy to a justice system they really, really dislike.
Foiled again. That darn justice system, when it works the way it's supposed to, always ruins. Oh.
I mean, to take one example.
All right, one example. Here's an example. By the way, we're all supposed to live and believe like whatever the example is, because we're the real racist, I guess, and therefore we all think the same.
MSNBC's Jason Johnson seemed pretty pissed at the verdict yesterday. He said, I'm not going to celebrate this verdict because it gives legitimacy to a system that's bad.
I actually always thought that he would be found guilty because it's sort of a cultural makeup call. But I'm not happy. I'm not pleased. I don't have any sense of satisfaction. I don't think this is a system working. I don't think this is a good thing. What this says to me is that in order to get a nominal degree of justice in this country, that a black man has to be murdered on air, viewed by the entire world. There have to be a year's worth of protests and a phalanx of other white police officers to tell one white officer that he was wrong in order to get one scintilla of justice.
Okay, that last point there is him.
Yeah, that's Jason's feeling as a black man, and he's expressing it. And it is not only the nature of his study, it is the nature of his point of view, and he is welcome to that point of view. It's not indicative across the board of everyone. It's not certainly indicative of any kind of movement, and he was not indicative of even the panel. This guy reminds me of an AM disc jockey. Oh, yeah. Me or him?
Him admitting that the jury was pressured by the millions of people in the streets, which, of course, is true.
Yeah, they wouldn't have. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for finally telling everyone Chauvin wasn't guilty and didn't deserve it. There you go. Way to sell it, buddy.
And perfectly obvious to anyone with a shred of common sense.
Yeah, anybody. Yeah, there's no way. The only reason you would ever want to convict Chauvin is because you're afraid of getting your house burned down. Not because you watched the 9-minute tape and saw him murder someone. And you're like, oh my God, I'm watching a slow motion murder and I've seen it 17 times. As a juror, you would never come to the conclusion that that was indicative of evidence and all the experts that came in. That would never convince you. It was obviously their abject fear of Maxine Waters.
He says, in order to get this...
Does he talk that fast? Who, Ben or me? Because there I'm talking a little faster than normal. Ben talks like that all the time because he's gacked out of his mind on Ritalin or Adderall or both and hyper-caffeinated. And he also comes from, I think, the long line of people in this... Don't think for a second I'm not aware that this could be projection. But he might come from a long line of people who believe that if they stop talking, people will stop paying attention to them and walk away.
Conviction. You needed millions of people in the streets. Okay, there's a word for that, and it's mob justice.
No, it isn't. That's not mob justice. Mob justice is if they went in, dragged him out, and beat him to death. Right? That would be mob justice. like Emmett Till, the story around that, those kind of lynchings, for example. That's a good example of mob justice. This isn't. This is people protesting about the police violence. They didn't protest because Chauvin had been taken, to jail. There were not protests yesterday. If it was mob justice, literally, if it was mob justice yesterday, when they cuffed Chauvin, which I have to say was a beautiful sight, and I can't believe that's not a tattoo already on someone. Is there a hashtag Chauvin tattoos where it's just like the tattoo of his hands behind his back or any of that stuff? I have a feeling we're going to see a few of those over time. That because there were no riots because he was taken to prison to await sentencing, where he's going to go away for a very long time, and rightly so. Sorry, Ben. That if it was mob justice, they would have gone, no. He doesn't get to go into jail. We want to drag him out into the street and beat him to death. That's mob justice. And you imagine the ego that you would have to believe that the people marching in the street about the death of George Floyd was about wanting somehow to enact a grudge against Derek Chauvin, as opposed to an outcry over the obvious killing of George Floyd, the heartbreak, and the desire to not see that happen again, and know that it happened at the hands of someone that none of us can confront because they are an officer of the state. Most of the time these freedom assholes would clamor for this. Half the people who watch his show are borderline sovereign citizens.
Hey, there's a term for that.
What did he have written on his palm? Does Ben have something written on his palm? Hey, Sparks Force.
And this is not a fringe viewpoint.
It's not? I didn't realize. I did not get the newsletter. They probably sent it to my house. I'm working, so I'm out of town.
Jason Johnson's viewpoint. In fact, you get the viewpoint, right? Because the idea is if the system is bad, then anything that justifies the system may not be that great.
The system isn't bad. The system is infused with badness, and he's saying that it worked the way it's supposed to, and it took so much to make it work the way it's supposed to. If he didn't believe that, and let me explain this to the Ben Shapiros of the world. What Jason actually was saying was a belief in law and order, in policing, in a jury by one's peers, and evidentiary hearings, innocent until proven guilty. All those things are things that Jason Johnson is actually for. And his argument is that for that system to work equally for him, it took way too much effort. That does not mean that the system is wrong. It's that there are dams in the river that only affect people that look like him, which is a reasonable concern to have. And the point of the marches, and this is something that Ben Shapiro will never, ever, ever, ever be able to process.
AOC, the irrepressible, brilliant, so fresh, so face.
So fresh, so face. I think you've missed your calling, Ben, writing shampoo commercials. So fresh, so face. I know where he's going, but just roll back, dude. This isn't live.
Face of justice in America, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who spent tens of thousands of dollars on private security over the course of the last few months.
Gee, I wonder why. Mainly because viewers of your show and Fox News viewers and OAN and Newsmax viewers have been threatening her life non-stop. There is a reason why she should be able to espouse in an American society with total freedom, even the most egregious ideology in terms of, because she represents a single district. Those people elected her. She's, they can not elect her next time. She's not, singularly capable of instituting laws on her own. She still has to get them through the whole system. So she should be able to walk in there and be the Rand Paul of the left, except, obviously she smells better and has better hair. I don't know that she smells better. I just assume because of Rand Paul that everyone does. Because I think he wears a deodorant called Sovereign Citizen, and it's rough. Which I think is just a turd. I think it's just a... Anyways, speaking of just a turd, Ben, back to your argument. That AOC gets death threats nonstop from your ilk simply for expressing her ideas, which you don't have to agree with and are not necessarily mainstream even in the Democratic Party or across the country, but she was elected. She has the freedom of speech, but she gets death threats constantly from lunatics on the right, and so she needs security. Would you prefer she not have that and allow one of your lunatic viewers to murder her? Probably not. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
But you should definitely defund the police. AOC.
I don't know that she called for defund the police. I think she's one of the folks who was like, they might have played footsie with the phrase in the beginning, but is for, spending more money on mental health so the cops aren't going to, people having mental health crisis moments.
Said that this verdict should not be a ray of hope. It should just be a reminder that we need to completely change the systems of American life.
It's not justice. And I'll explain to you why it's not justice. It's not justice because justice is George Floyd going home tonight to be with his family.
Yeah, see, I can understand that sentiment. I think you can understand that sentiment as a human being. Justice in the world would be, well, arguably, that George Floyd would have gone home a long time ago, but he might have had to, show up in court and pay a fine for the 20 that he passed that may have been his friends that started all this thing rolling. That would have been a minor exchange that had to do with, a breaking of the rules of commerce, the laws of commerce, not something that requires capital punishment, that kind of, thing. That would have been, justice or whatever. Hey, man, you passed a bad 20. I'm going to have to write you a summons. You're going to have to go to jail. We're not going to, you're going to have to go to jail if you don't show up for court because they'll put a warrant out for you. But, don't do that. And, did you know this was real? Did you know this wasn't real? Did you know it was fake? That kind of thing. So hold on, why does my monitor always jump off? I didn't understand. But I'm gonna guess that that's his big problem. That emotionally, again, we're not talking. I don't know if Ben Shapiro actually exists. I got to be honest. I don't know if Ben Shapiro, as a human being, is still there. We may be talking to a pile of Adderall with a wig and two caterpillars on it at this point.
Justice is Adam Toledo getting tucked in by his mom tonight. Justice is when you're pulled over, there not being a gun that's part of that interaction because you have a headlight out.
Right. Justice is tearing down all the systems.
How did that go? How did that go to that? How did we go from, you don't have to pull a gun, you pulled me over for a busted headlight. Why do you have your gun out? Now, you guys, I could go through on my channel, and I'm not against it at some point, although I may get, it's one of those things that might get me kicked off of YouTube and Twitch for a week. Going through a bunch of videos of traffic stops that go from zero to murder in an eighth of a second, where the person pulls over and immediately opens fire on the police officer. Or like in Brooklyn, was it the Bronx? The Bronx. A driver who was pulled over, threw a chemical in the face of the cop, drove away. When another cop pulled him over, he threw a lit Molotov cocktail at the police. I think it bounced off him and therefore didn't smash, and therefore the cop wasn't burned alive. They deal with that stuff all the time. And the more frequent those kind of things happen, and the more egregiously, directed at cops as opposed to just a psychopath that they caught in the middle of doing something bad, who also happens to have a busted taillight or something going on that they use as a predicate to pull them over because they were swerving, giving the finger, and they have bumper stickers that say, I'm on my way to a mass shooting, that kind of stuff. That there's enough of those where you understand where police take every traffic stop as a potential violent exchange. That said, a good portion of the time they do not. And in the case where they walk up and they pulled you over for a busted headlight or something, and they've already got their guns drawn before they approach the car, that's a concern. That should not be part of your experience on a traffic stop with the police. Unless they've run the plate, they know you have a warrant, the warrant is for something violent, they know that you are wanted on a violent crime, and they have to approach with caution. But usually, you call for help. You have another cop pull over and park in front of them and just talk through your thing and go, hey, sit there for a second, will you? Then you can cover it, and then you're like. But that is not the tearing down of the system. This is the thing that Ben Shapiro does not seem to understand. That the person with the busted headlight who is just innocently going someplace does not have to be drawn on because they fit a generalized description of other people the police deal with that are violent. And that police need to have more backup in circumstances like that, more non-lethal means that they can go to, and ways to, say, disable a car or stop somebody from going anywhere that goes beyond them having to taser into the car and that kind of stuff.
And you'll notice the facts don't matter.
They always have their hands on their guns because they always have to. That's just understand that. They don't know who the hell you are. They have no reason to believe you're going to attack them, but they have no reason to believe you're not going to. And you know how, like, we've all seen those DMV footage. Somebody just said that in chat, and I just wanted to touch on this. You know, we've always seen those videos in when you get your driver's license when you're a kid, and they're like blood on the highway and all that stuff that kind of scare you about what it's like to drive and remind you of how dangerous it is, and that you're basically driving a 6,000-pound bullet. And, or 3,000 if you're, energy efficient, that your car can be a weapon and it's very dangerous and all those kind of things, and that other people can hit you and kill you and it'd be very sad, so watch where you're going. Police see all the time, not just in the inter-police news that they see all the time, but, on the news, and are aware of when body cam footage is released constantly from police. They're aware of traffic stops that go south instantly. So they're always just going to be, for their own safety and the safety around them, they're going to do that. But when they pull it, that's what she was talking about. She didn't say when they walk up, she didn't say they shouldn't walk up with their hand on their hip like you're going to be a threat. She didn't say that, did she? Let's be abundantly clear. Shall we back up and see what AOC actually said? Let's do this. Let's see what she actually said about this thing. So she, yeah. Hold on.
Justice is when you're pulled over, there not being a gun. That's part of that interaction because you have a headlight out.
Okay. Not being a gun, that's part of that in the interaction. They don't pull their gun on you. That's what she's talking about. Because you have a headlight out. That they have a gun in the car and you're like, hey, my hands are on the steering wheel. I don't know what the deal is. You're being a nice person and you have a gun pointed at you. That's a reasonable, I'm certain that there are police officers who would go, it would be nice if when we pulled over a car, there were not a gun involved. I would rather not be a gun involved when I'm writing someone a speeding ticket or a busted taillight thing. I would rather just write them the ticket so they fix their car so it can drive safely, because that exchange is not about the greater law and order of the country. That is just generalized traffic safety so that everybody in the city and in the state and wherever can get to where they're going without worrying about someone coming out of nowhere with no headlights or no brake lights or what have you and smashing into them.
Right. Justice is tearing down all the systems.
And then that's where he goes. So all the systems to Ben Shapiro is, look, if the cops want to put a gun to your head and tell you, don't move your hands, but show me your license and registration and if you make any quick moves, I might snap. And that's tearing down all the systems. It's total destruction of the system if a cop doesn't draw on you before they've said hello, according to Ben Shapiro.
And you'll notice the facts don't matter in any of these cases.
Sure they do.
The Adam Toledo shoot was a justifiable shooting by a police officer. Adam Toledo was missing for 2 days in Chicago. His mom didn't even call the cops. He was a member of a gang. Where were his parents? His mom tucking him in.
Where were his parents? He's a minor. He's a minor child. The responsibility in that moment goes to his parents and to the guy he was hanging out with, who should be criminally negligent and responsible for his death in a lot of ways. He handed the kid the gun and told him to run off and hide it, essentially. Adam thought he was being cute by throwing it behind the wall and then turning around. The cop had seen the gun in his hand the entire time he was running, so when he brought his hand out, he reacted and shot him. The cop immediately started CPR, said, where are you shot, all this stuff. It had nothing to do with the racial component of this at all. However, in a just system, this kid doesn't have to, at 14 years old, isn't surrounded by gangs and drugs and all this other stuff. That's also justice. It doesn't mean that singular moment the cop was a terrible person. What it means is that there's a greater justice picture that goes on here.
She did not call the cops when he went missing for 2 nights. He was shooting a gun at moving vehicles. When the police were called...
No, somebody was shooting a gun at moving vehicles. If you're going to be a dickhead about the details, people reported shots fired. Not who did it, not what... if he was shooting them, I don't know that we've seen a residue on his hands story yet. I'm willing to be taught in those moments. But invariably, he was just the guy who got to run and chuck the gun away.
To the scene, he ran from the cops. He had a gun behind him. And as he dropped the gun, he was shot. Okay, and for her, justice is that he goes home. Justice is that George Floyd is... In other words,
Did I? Hold on.
Behind him. And as he dropped the gun, he was shot. Okay, and for her, justice is that he goes home. Justice is that George...
All right, when he says home, is it just me or do his eyes turn red? This is really weird.
Okay, and for her, justice is that he goes home. Justice...
Did you see that? Am I completely bananas? Hang on.
He was shot. Okay, and for her, justice is that he goes home. Justice is that George...
Do they throw a filter on there or something? Are we watching some sort of Videodrome bullshit?
Floyd is... In other words, justice is the tearing down of all of the systems.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Here's a good idea. Justice would be if the asshole who had given him the gun when he was a minor was already in jail and stayed there. Ha, how about that? And by the way, Jason Johnson, AOC. This is supposed to be indicative of how we all hear and see these things, and we're incapable of understanding the myriad of of baseline realities in that.
Because any bad thing that happens can be attributed to the system.
No, it can't. If you can't attribute something bad that happens to the system if the system in and of itself, if your example is the system didn't work. Obviously talking about Jason Johnson's specific example, but the tearing down of the system, she ran for Congress. She sits in meetings and they rifle through laws and what laws are applicable and which ones pertain to the Constitution. The system, according to Ben Shapiro, insofar as I can tell, is all the systems they set up after the Constitution to guarantee it doesn't work for everybody. That's the system. And the system that, it's like a barnacle. That's, it's a barnacle, not the whale. The whale is the actual system, but Ben Shapiro looks at a whale as a delivery system for barnacles because the barnacles serve him.
So this wasn't justice, right? Justice is bad things don't happen anymore, and bad things won't happen anymore. Justified or unjustified, bad things will never happen anymore if you just tear down the system.
I'm going to guess that I'm going to guess that if you asked either one of those people, if you asked, beyond your average Democrat, but if you asked Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a sitting congresswoman, or Jason Johnson, who is a regular contributor to MSNBC, that if they believe that if you tear down systems, bad things won't happen anymore.
How's this for a title?
Oh, boy.
Ben Shapiro Show subscriber destroys like button with clicks and logic.
Oh, God. You schmuck. So, just so you know, that's what we're all supposed to think. And this isn't the only one, by the way. You guys know Grant Stankfield, right? Destroying their own argument. The left wants their way through intimidation. This is I swear to God, there must be like a handout just in. Your argument is invalid, Grant Stankfield. Grinch Stankfield. Grandpa Stank. All right, so felt up. I don't know what his name is, and I don't care. But this, I think they pass out some sort of flyer that goes this. Okay, guys, the talking point is you have to understand the left is into mind control. And that's what we're going to throw. That's what we're working on.
Logic. I'd watch.
Oh, here we go.
Democrats of today have become more delusional,
Okay. Gosh. Tell me all about me, Grant.
more radical, and
Okay, more radical. Really? And the way they got more radical was to elect Joe Biden. Not Bernie Sanders? Not Elizabeth Warren? Bernie got within, swinging distance, but he tops out at 30%, as far as his electability rating within the Democratic Party. In many ways, it was only that Trump was as unpopular as he was that, that people believed that Bernie could win overall, because there's a ceiling on his support. In many ways, that only because Hillary Clinton was as unliked as she was because of 30 years of them destroying her character at every turn, because she went so far as to create a children's health insurance program and guide it through the government while her husband was president, instead of just sitting there and making doilies. That Trump was able to win, but they just don't like when that applies. But we'll see. Let's see.
yes, more violent than ever.
Oh, well, more violent. Well, clearly, words are violence. And every time I call him Grant Stankfield, a demon gets its wings.
Before. Now, the way they choose to get things done is through threats, coercion, and of course, intimidation.
Threats? Remember this, guys. This is your checklist. Threats, coercion, and intimidation. This is how we get things done. I mean, sure, we voted in huge numbers and Biden beat Trump by 7 million votes, and they charged the Capitol. But what was it, coercion something?
The rhetoric is often public calls for violence.
Oh, okay. Public calls for violence. We're getting into the Maxine Waters saying confrontation means that, we're being more violent.
Violence that is all too often carried out, as we've seen on the streets across.
Yeah, I remember when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was speaking on the lawn, and she said trial by combat. Oh, that was Rudy Giuliani. My bad. I always get them mixed up.
America. Today, after watching the response to the Chauvin Floyd verdict, I actually believe there are Black Lives Matter Antifa street terrorists that are disappointed by this verdict.
See? I mean, it's almost word for word the Ben Shapiro talking point.
Reason? They actually wanted to riot.
Yeah, I know. We were so close. A lot of us were thinking maybe if we, because allegedly they doxed the jury. I think somebody was trying to, create a hung jury or mistrial or something like that, just so we could riot. That would have been so fun. Oh God. It's just because I think it's the only way we're going to get rid of all those old buildings. It's just, if you really think about it, rioting is our only real shot at true gentrification.
Last night, and of course,
such a dickhead. Of
course, they needed an excuse to do it.
Well, yeah, you can't just riot for no reason. Then there's no riots. Riot sympathy is really what we run on. That's how I power my electric car.
Last night they didn't get one, but they still turned out to show us all they aren't satisfied.
Yeah, You mean by not rioting?
I'm not an independent. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a revolutionary.
Okay, so what does that guy have to do with me? Obviously, if you're going to say leftist in terms of, Leninists, I can't help you. Stankfield. What are you? Do I have to play clips of sovereign citizens refusing to get out of their car and shooting at cops because and go, the right has gone completely?
We're never going to be satisfied. Black Lives Matter isn't a trend, it's a movement. Black Lives Matter forever, okay?
And we are no longer.
Okay. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I would not be comfortable with a country going backwards after we've raised awareness that, obviously Black Lives Matter is born out of Black Lives Matter also, because the predicate was that oftentimes it seems that everyone else's life matters, but Black lives don't, and they do, and therefore Black Lives Matter too. But which sounds like a sequel to the worst horror movie that Ben Shapiro and Grant could go see together.
We are demanding entrance, and we are not taking no for an answer.
We're demanding entrance, and we are not taking no for an answer. Next thing you know, they'll want to be able to join our golf clubs.
We can defund the police, and maybe one day we will abolish the police, but we ain't gonna do unless we have control over them.
Okay. And it's a little threadbare. I'm just saying the actual marches, protests, and riots and looting that happened last year about and around the George Floyd killing. I'm just seeing a lot of asphalt, Grant. I'm seeing, I don't doubt that the activist class is out there, and it seems like it's almost, like a third of the people there are like this, and the other 2/3 are there because, they're going to go out and celebrate it, and also go, there's still a long way to go.
So you see, these
Yeah, so you see, you're not going to play what he was singing?
anarchists aren't concerned about
Yes, anarchists are not concerned. Grant finally understands that anarchists aren't comfortable with government. Do sovereign citizens next, Grant.
race or fairness. They want power. They want the public living in fear of what retaliation may come next.
Is that what the system's going to be based? So they want to tear down the system. I've always struggled to understand what the fuck libertarians are talking about, much less anarchists. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's at least one libertarian, sovereign citizen, anarchist in our chat room somewhere that can kind of lay down a platform. They have some place, but as an anarchist, if you lay down a platform, aren't you going against your own movement? I mean, the minute you actually, you can't take over a system you don't actually believe exists when everybody else is participating in it. And then if you're a revolutionary, what you want to turn the country around, right as we're moving towards racial justice and equity. That's technically that's why the right is calling for a revolution in their own way. If you look at it, that guy yelling he's a revolutionary, he's no different than the people who stormed the Capitol on the 6th in some ways, because what they want to do is send the country backwards. It's so weird.
It's why facts never matter to.
Well, of course not. Absolutely. No, you don't use, it's a fact that you don't use Christmas colors on a banner about something this serious. And yet.
Them. Look at this latest.
Look at that. Hold on. Look at this. What does that guy's sign say? Hold on. First of all, that one says, let's see, just for George Floyd and all something, stolen lives? Stolen lives. I think that's what it says. Right. The world is watching. Okay? That's what the big sign says. Now, understand. We all are about to get a grasp on the fear that Grant Stankfield is feeling right now as we watch what the sign says when they, and by the way, it's a picture of George Floyd, which is enough to scare Grant.
It's why.
Because he feels like he's being haunted.
Facts never matter to.
There it is. Okay. Love, unity, peace, respect. 4 Directions, Black West. I don't know if that's one of Kanye's relatives. 4 Directions, Black West. I don't know what the 4 Directions, Black West means. Probably a movement or whatever. But the whole love, unity, peace, and respect. I'm good with that, right? Unless those have a lefty meaning that I don't understand. Maybe tomorrow is Stankfear. That's his name. Glenn. What's his name? Flint Stankflesh. What? Grant. Grandma Stankflet. Stankfart. Obviously, the scary part is that it says love, unity, peace, and respect, but they're in quotes. So they mean something else.
Them. Look at this latest officer-involved shooting in Columbus, Ohio. The cop who shot and killed a knife-wielding 16-year-old.
Yeah. yeah, the story came out that that it was an unarmed girl. It was 16, and then as the footage comes out, people start coming more, becoming more aware of the details, and then it fades. This has happened a couple of times. Yeah, that's a knife. She's got a knife right there. That dude was kicking a girl. They showed up on something violent. The other question is, where were there were other cops that arrived early. Why didn't they intervene?
Should be hailed as a hero in my mind. He saved the life of the girl in the pink sweats there. The girl he killed, sadly, tried to stab that other girl. It's clear on the video. So as an officer saves a life, tragically being forced to take another life, and still the Black Lives Matter crew goes crazy.
They went crazy, guys. They went crazy.
Egged on by a devious and uninformed media.
They were egged on by a devious and uninformed. Can you be devious and uninformed? I mean, you can make the argument that or maybe it's two sides. Maybe Fox is uninformed. When they were reporting on it, they didn't have all the details. But MSNBC and CNN are devious. I see.
There was no attempt to use pepper spray or a taser, non-lethal force, while a knife can be seen in the footage before the officer fires his weapon.
Can be seen? That's Brian Williams of MSNBC. She's swinging the knife all over the place.
That's not abundantly clear from the footage that we just saw, that she's swinging it all over the place. But, I mean, he pulled up and drew down with deadly force on her because she was using a deadly weapon on someone else. That's not that weird. The reaction, though, was before the details came out. That would be the uninformed. I'm sure he thinks it's devious, though.
Trying to stab somebody, pepper spray is not going to stop that. Use a taser, he says. That is far too risky, by the way, and may not stop the potential killer in time. In this case,
neither will bullets, by the way. A lot of times there's a story about this one cop that now carries 144 rounds in his car at all times because he emptied 3 magazines into a dude that had fired on him at a traffic stop, and the guy kept coming. Emptied 3 magazines. He was down to 4. I think he had 4 bullets left in his gun, and it was only because he had been shot himself. He was laying on the inside on the bed. The dude from the car was on the roadside of the cop's vehicle. The cop was behind his vehicle because they'd been firing at each other, and the guy kept coming this way. And the guy looked underneath, and the cop shot him in the forehead. That was the only way he stopped him. So he carries a shit ton of rounds now. And again, this is a fast-moving situation. And here's the thing: this isn't even about this particular cop that had to fire. I have tremendous sympathy for this cop who's gone through this situation. It's terrible to have to take a life and all this thing. But we need to make sure the cops have more non-lethal options. That they roll up in a situation like this where they're supposedly fighting, like fist fightings, with 40 millimeter beanbag guns that will knock everybody on their ass. And you can't sue if you get a rib broken because your option is I can either try to tase you, which has to reach you. I have to be within 12 feet and it has to connect. And if it doesn't connect, you're going to keep doing whatever you're going to do. And if you have a knife, you're going to continue to stab someone. And now I'm responsible for 2 deaths because you're not going to stop. And I'm going to have to kill you and that person is dead. So I have that or my gun. Well, let's give them some more options. If you want to worry about funding the police, if that's your argument, then roll up and go, every cop has, a pepper ball gun, has a 40 millimeter beanbag round gun, all available to them for those kind of situations. And you roll up and 911 lets you know this is a Class A situation. We're aware of this kind of violence. We're getting constant reports. Or, there's a person with a gun. Okay, so we are all sidearmed. But this is a situation where there's fighting, there's a house party, there's there's noise, there's a domestic dispute, yada, yada. And you roll up with stuff that can put people down without killing them. And you give all those cops that. You want to fund the police? Fund that shit, Grant Stankfield.
Watching the video, it's clear. The safest, most effective way to protect innocent life is to use the firearm in this case.
Yeah, but because that's all he had. The argument would be is not you're not tearing down the system. You're not going to not send cops. You just go, who was stabbed? All right, well, thanks. We'll check them off our dead list. We're not going to send cops anymore. We're not sending cops to that. I mean, she gets her head kicked in by this dude. She gets stabbed. And then you just send us a list of the dead people there, and we'll send a coroner over to bag them up. Nobody's saying that. So the argument is, give them more options than lethal force in certain circumstances. They could have kneecapped her. No, you can't. Guys, you don't shoot at people's legs. I've heard this a bunch. You don't shoot at people's legs because A, you can miss. The bullets continue to travel. They will go someplace else. In this situation, they might hit the girl she's trying to stab. It might go through her and strike somebody else. You aim for center mass because if you're pulling the gun to shoot someone, you should only be shooting them if you intend to kill them. Shooting to wound means that's why you have a taser. That's why you have a baton. That's why you have other stuff. If you can wound them and that would solve it in any way, then you should have other options. And that's where I'm talking about the 40 millimeter beanbags or pepper ball guns or like knockdown guns, which should be a next thing. Yeah.
But Brian Williams refuses to admit that. You can see it all right there on the video. Because Brian Williams knows an angry cop-hating crowd whipped into a frenzy that takes to the streets looking to destroy is, of course, good for ratings.
Is it now? Gee, is that why you're playing the footage, Grant? Is fear-mongering about dealing with these kind of circumstances and the ensuing riotous behavior or protest that might happen, isn't that good for ratings? Grant, if anybody wants to tear down the system that continually feeds you this idea that leftist activists are creating Black Lives Matter armies that can't wait to set the night on fire, then what would you air, honestly? What kind of apple pie recipes you got right now? If you guys haven't canceled apple pie, I know you did baseball.
So he interviews cop-hating race baiters like Jason Johnson.
We're hitting Jason again. I mean, do they have like a rotating target?
In 22 seconds, he shot her dead. An honor roll student who's making TikTok videos on makeup and hair. This hasn't stopped.
So look, I'm saddened. A 16-year-old resorted to grabbing a knife and tried to kill someone. But I don't care if she just left Build-A-Bear on her way to ballet class. The officer doesn't know her background. And honestly, her background does not matter in all of this. She is clearly seen trying to stab another teenager. Why is this officer now not billed as a man who just preserved life?
Well, they did. That's what the chief of police said. I think that one person stepped down there for something else that they said, but they're not going to lose their job. They aren't. Ultimately, this will be ruled a good shoot because of the circumstance. It's not the point. It isn't the point.
Instead, they paint him as the enemy. And though
do we? Guys, I forgot. I was not watching my own show. How can you tase someone and kill them? Curious? Yes, you can. You can cause a heart attack if someone has, it's rare. The problem with a taser a lot of times is that they've dialed them back so much because they don't want people to die of a heart attack from them, that they don't stop people the way they should. So the most egregious people you need to use a taser on, the hardest, the ones you're like, okay, I'm this close to having to shoot this person, but I'm going to tase them. Oftentimes that will require two tasers, or you'll actually have to do a driver taser where you take the actual taser that you have, you shoot them with it, and while they're being jolted, you actually have to use the taser materially where you push it on them and pull the trigger so that it zaps them. So
the Chauvin guilty verdict may have happened minutes before. Like race, it has nothing to do with this case.
Beg your pardon? Why does the Chauvin case have nothing to do with race?
40 minutes after that ruling, a 16-year-old girl can be shot in front of her house. So no, I'm not hopeful.
Well, geography doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you can be shot by the police. Most people actually in domestic violence situations or fights are often shot in their own homes by the police after, because domestic violence is, which I guess this fight, I don't know I have not heard the full story about who was fighting who and who called who and whether it was a foster home and the aunt and yada yada. Seems to be a lot of backstory to this. But domestic violence calls the most violent calls cops can go on a lot of times, because they'll break up somebody, go to take away the abuser, and the abusee will open fire on or attack the police officer, or the abuser will lock themselves in a room. There was I've seen cops attacked with a machete when they showed up to stop a wife beater. I've seen videos of the body cam footage of them, them taking a man away for beating his wife, and the wife comes out of a bedroom with a gun to shoot the cops for taking him. So,
well, guess what?
This is one case where a stun gun should have been used. The problem with it is that when it comes to a knife, often training is that a knife is a deadly weapon. The person has to be stopped, period. That's the issue, because stunning them won't necessarily stop them from stabbing somebody. And then you've got a dead person that didn't have to die because you were busy protecting the person who was planning on murdering someone.
Hopeful either. I'm not hopeful about America's youth.
Well, I mean, obviously. Look where you work.
And the training they get from people like Johnson, who you just saw there.
The training? Oh, guys, I don't know. Did Jason start his own BLM paramilitary school?
Training to embrace outrage.
Do you have to be trained to embrace outrage? I mean, I understand this guy could use empathy classes.
Violence, lies.
You watch too much Cops, Hal? I don't watch any Cops. What are you talking about?
Can children be so confused? This is what they do to them. They absolutely confuse them that they resort to trying to stab friends. But this is where we are at today.
Yeah, that's where we're at today. That a single circumstance that happened as the Chauvin trial was happening, or the verdict was coming down, is indicative of our entire behavior. And now, apparently, we have to tear down all of our systems, to use the Ben Shapiro phraseology, because Grant Stankfield is upset.
Young men and women think it's okay.
I get that too, but why a deadly shot? Because there is no other shot. If you're pulling your gun to shoot, you're only doing it to kill the person. You shouldn't draw it just to wound someone. It's not a wounding weapon. If you can do anything else, you do something else. If you can't do anything else, you pull your sidearm and put the person down. That's really where it is. In reality, not in, nobody gets winged. I think we got too many generations of people who've watched people rub a shoulder wound with a bullet in it on television shows. Man, there was some joke about how many broken ribs and shoulder bullets has Batman gotten in the last 50 years?
To loot and steal, burn and destroy.
Yeah, what time, guys, do you know what time Jason Johnson's looting, stealing, burning, and destroying class is? Or is that 4 classes? I don't know if is it a certificate program, or can I get my degree? I just need to know how many credits I'm going to need.
Whenever something doesn't go their way,
Whenever something doesn't go their way. Well, it went their way, and now... Oh, I see. So it's bad. Thanks, Grant, for filling it. So it's bad if when something doesn't go your way, say like an election, that you act violently and sort of storm, say, a official building of some sort, and like erecting a gallows in response to losing an election would be, out of balance with proper societal behavior. Is that what we're saying? Is it an elective, Steve? Thank you. I appreciate that.
A knife and try to stab a friend. And what I see now...
Well, if you're stabbing them, are they really a friend?
Now is they crave this violence and destruction.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've been binge watching a lot of, Mindhunter and Bundy shows, but that's just because my girlfriend likes it.
Thanks to the violence inciting left-wing politicians.
Yeah, thank God. Ted Nugent joined the left so that when he holds an M16 up on stage and tells Hillary Clinton she can sit on it, and I think that was an elective, or is that just the kind of political vaginal shooting is an elective in the right-wing college system in Michigan?
Who lead them all?
Serve as a reminder that a single verdict in a single trial will never be enough.
Well, yeah, of course not. You don't get to go back to doing something. Why are they... I don't understand why they would expect that to be the case. If you're trying to solve something you view as systemic, and if you believe there is nothing systemic there, then this case wouldn't solve it for you either. Thank you for stabbing a friend. Thanks, Renzo. Thank you for stabbing a friend.
This goes way beyond party or political faction.
No, it doesn't. Clearly, this is all hyper-left.
Racism strikes at the very core of this country.
It's always about racism with them, right? The sad reality is they are all unaware that every move they make, every ridiculous demand that they level,
every ridiculous move you make
actually weakens
Grant will be watching you.
Their own argument.
Oh, it does? So marching and protesting and hashtagging and all the things that went with looking for justice for the Floyd family and the like actually goes against. I see. So it's in its own way, it's some sort of
they call for
inverse racism, reverse racism, covert racism. What is it? It's one of the verts.
Defunding of the police.
All right. Yes, we're back to defunding of the police, which no one in power is calling for.
That'll only make policing worse.
By the way, if you're keeping track, I think I actually called for more funding for police, but to give them more non-lethal options when dealing with the public, who, quite frankly, can be awful.
Less money for training, more problems will certainly arise. They vilify officers. Fewer good men and women will choose law enforcement as a career because of this war on cops. That only leads to more bad cops.
Yeah, cops, they only take it because they want the attention and the positive. You know, they're not doing it because they want their neighborhoods to be genuinely safe and stuff like that. They're doing it for the accolades. And if you stop congratulating them, most people don't even talk to cops. There's the rare human being who walks around when they see police, like, hey, thanks, hi, how are you? You know, but most people are like, they see cops and they avoid them. It's literally like two giant noses walked in and you just farted. Everybody just kind of immediately acts like, oh, God, the noses are here.
And when they look at you and lie, claiming fiction as fact.
You just said that because of what one person said and three people in a small gathering, I guess in Minnesota, maybe in New York, can't really tell, that is my argument and the belief system of the entirety of the Democratic Party, and that we have become increasingly radical. And you have not mentioned at all January 6th in your analogous revolutionaries are destroying the world kind of situation. So I'm going to call bullshit, Grant.
They destroy themselves, their delusional arguments.
Well, then if they're destroying themselves, just wait.
And sad,
twiddle your thumbs, Stankfield.
The minds of the uninformed that they seek to control.
So that's what we're doing. We're trying to seek the uninformed by informing them with all the wrong information. I'm sorry, not me. Newsmax, actually, just to be clear. But this is, which Newsmax he does very well. Yes, this is clearly, hey cops, you can't handle your job, quit. It's not that simple, Jess. It's not about handling their job, and they're not handling their job, they're handling our job. Because the option used to be mob justice, and it used to happen very quickly, and it was awful. So we have, over the decades, the centuries even, removed the power of the direction of the police from royals or any kind of theocrat or monarch. And then, hold on one second, we don't need that graphic in there. And we have put it in the hands of representatives who are elected, and we've increased the number of elected people that are in there, but people have to sign up and decide to become police officers. And we, I think it was Lenny Bruce who said, that policemen are the mailman, that society often knows awful things have to be done, and we just, you go do that. I do it, but I'm too nice a guy. I know it has to be done sometimes, but I don't want to be there when it happens. I'll be over here. And a lot of times that's the way it is. We have a responsibility. Whenever cops do something that we don't like, that's us, because we're the ones who control the levers of power through our voting and who we put in office. And the lack of available non-lethal, equipment that they have, the tactical response stuff that they've had, the militarization of it. That's all happened on our watch. I'm all for responsibility, but I can only take it myself. Yeah. So, I thought, while we're at it, oh God, I wanted to, now that you know what Democrats are supposed to think, and I hope you're keeping, you're taking notes. Luckily, they have, they're bringing somebody on that tells us how Hollywood thinks. And because I needed a refresher course, because currently I'm in Tallahassee and I'm doing Shakespeare, and I know that's as far away from Hollywood almost as you can possibly be, I suppose, except maybe getting a BAFTA. And so I understand that maybe I need a refresher course. Maybe that's what I need. So luckily, they have my old buddy Dean Cain. He has a fight against woke Hollywood. And for those of you that don't know, back when I weighed 128 pounds in 1992, something like that, I was on an episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, and I had a scene with Dean and Terry, and I got to improvise a joke. It was one of my first little mini guest starring roles. It was the killer on this show was trying to kill Lois, and he was a master of disguise, and I could have been the killer, or I could have just been a jerk who knocks her into traffic. I played a skateboarder with long hair. I could reprise the role. But, and I had a really great conversation with Terry at one point. And I was a dick to her, and because she was being awful, and she was very nice to me the rest of the shoot. Just saying. So anyways, yes, this will be on the test. So but I'd forgotten how, I'm supposed to act in woke Hollywood. So as I am doing, I'm doing a Shakespeare play where I literally spell out CUNT as part of the jokes in the show. See, I'll see if you guys can spot all the dirty jokes. I try to leverage them up a little bit so that if you don't speak Old English, you can still get the bodiness of the jokes. But they're pretty. This is filth. 12th Night is filth. It should be called Filth Night. Yeah, I have done Marvel and DC. It's true. I prefer Marvel. Just saying. And we'll see if Dean shows me to be right in this. I mean, obviously Jim Caviezel. Is there something about everybody since Christopher Reeve that's played Superman is just a nutcase or a prick? So.
Family values. Our next guest is.
Speaking of family values.
Abandoning family values. Our next.
Speaking of abandoning family values.
Guest is fighting back, and he is also hosting the 24th Family Film Awards.
That's good. So this isn't just a story. This is promotion. That's right. So Clean Flicks is going to have its own award show. It's family friendly. Is Ted Nugent going to present?
The Reels Network, honoring
on the Reels Network. It's about to get reels, people.
The best of family television, movies, and music. Movie legend Anne Margaret is being awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award at the ceremony, which is tomorrow night.
Which they already filmed, obviously, because there she is getting her acceptance, of the awards. And apparently they don't have a problem with sort of old-fashioned Illuminati imagery and sacred geometry. So clearly this is, while it's supposed to be family-friendly, Christian, family-first films, this is obviously some sort of conspiratorial behind-the-scenes thing. They've taken over our symbols. They've destroyed the family.
And joining us now to discuss is actor Dean Cain, who is the MC who's hosting the entire event. And he is, of course,
actor, shooter, former football player, filing expert, TV watcher, graduate of the National Squinting Academy.
Of course, Superman. You have to say Superman.
You have to.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Heather and Bob. I'll tell you what, if you're ever stuck with a moniker, Superman's a good one to be stuck with.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I don't know, Zoltan kind of rocks, I gotta say.
So tell us a little bit more about this. It sounds positive because in this day and age, we constantly hear about, Hollywood going further and further left.
Do we?
Yeah, well, it is exactly.
You mean because more people of color are in starring roles? Is that an indicator that we're going farther and farther left? Just curious.
Exactly what you said. It's a very positive, uplifting show.
Yeah, so don't drag him into your own personal bullshit just to fill some quota time. He's there to promote a family-friendly show. It's the VMAs. It's the Christian Movie Award, the CMAs. But no, that's the country music shit.
Celebrates shows that we've all watched as kids and families, and together I'm a single dad.
Oh wait, it's Nickelodeon?
My
Wait, you're a single dad? Single dad? What kind of attack on the family is this? What are they doing? Why are they destroying the nuclear family? Single dad. Get married. Be betrothed. Your woman can't leave. Single dad.
My son and I watch a number of shows together. He's 20 years old now, so.
Does he know Nestor?
He doesn't hang out with me like he used to, but we watch.
Well, I should hope not. He's gotten bigger, and your knee's the same size.
Shows together. We talk about the shows. The shows mean so much to us. It's a wonderful bonding time. A lot of people felt that way about Lois and Clark back in the day.
I certainly did. My family liked watching it. Well, one episode in particular. Well, 5 minutes of one episode.
When I played Superman, so I hear a lot of those stories.
What? When did he play Super? Oh, he did, right. I forgot.
We honor a lot of wonderful shows like the Brady Bunch, Happy Days, shows like that I grew up with. The Back to the Future trilogy, or however many they've made at this point in time.
3 in the trilogy, yeah.
We
There's 5 movies in the trilogy, I think.
See a lot of positivity, a lot of family stuff, and we thought it was, a very appropriate thing to honor them, especially this year. So if you want some positivity, turn on the show.
Yeah. By the way, Dean,
what's this single dad bullshit?
You played college football at Princeton, and I was curious.
You're an elite who joined Hollywood.
You
ever eat a baby?
Take on some of the politics going.
What does adrenochrome taste like?
On right now in football and the rest of major sports.
I'm a sports fan. I'm a football fan. I don't want to see politics mixed in with.
And he couldn't take a knee anyways because he busted his knee, and that's why he had to leave.
My sports.
Well, I don't care.
If people want to have a conversation about things away from the court, off the field, absolutely.
Well, then. Well, if you don't care about politics, then just ignore them when they talk about it and just go back to get it, because you do care about politics. Because obviously, when they exercise an example of their politics, it upsets the game for you. So you do care. Just ignore it. Go get a hot dog. Piss off. And if someone kneels during the anthem, go. I would never do that. And then enjoy the rest of the game. If you go, I'm leaving. This cannot be. People shouldn't be allowed to do this. They shouldn't do this. That means you take it seriously. Doesn't it? I mean, isn't in many ways the biggest impact that Colin Kaepernick had was the panic that it caused on the right. I don't know that it moved the ball forward as far as leading us in the direction of dealing with George Floyd or this thing. I think all along the way there's been lots of people involved in this, but it seems like the biggest impact that it had was that, oh my God, sports figures are getting involved in politics. Eek. And if that's your reaction, then obviously you're saying to your kids who you presumably watch the games with, that you should take this seriously. I don't take them seriously. I don't take anybody on Newsmax seriously. Honestly, you should know too, watching this show, that if I make a joke about a segment, where I'm talking about these assholes, I'm basically just mocking them and deflating. Because they obviously have, in my estimation, my situation, I'm clearly punching up. They've got millions of dollars from the Heritage Foundation and My Pillow, financing their thing, whereas I'm just doing this with the help of you guys. But ultimately, so I'm making fun of the fact that they have far more reach than I believe they deserve. But at no point does anyone in my audience ever think that, oh, if I talk about Ben Shapiro, he should be taken seriously. Or if I talk about it, I just kind of show you where other people are listening to these assholes. If I felt at any point I was talking about an area where they don't deal with politics, if it was, like Dean is, in this situation, Dean is coming on Newsmax to promo this thing with the illusion of Christian family values so that he can hide behind that. And then they ask him about this and he says, I believe politics don't belong on the court. Well, then remove yours. Remove your politics from the court. If someone kneels or stands, it should have no impact. If your politics don't belong on the court or on the field, then the national anthem and the Star-Spangled Banner shouldn't matter either, because they're not part of your experience with sports. But I'm guessing politics do matter to you.
By all means, express your First Amendment rights. You are entitled to that. I support that 100%. I fight for your right to say things that you want to say. However, I don't want to see it on the field. I don't want to see it on the jerseys. As a fan, it turns me off. And I'm not alone in that. That's why a lot of their numbers are down, and it's unfortunate.
Their numbers are down because we're in COVID and no one is going. I mean, their numbers are down like sit-down restaurants and movie theaters are down. They will not be down. And, political activism be damned, understand that all games, college games, like AA teams, Major League and, NBA, the NFL, hockey, everything, they're going to be jammed. Once people feel free of COVID and they're able to go back to full capacity at these places, holy shit.
And also, I wouldn't.
So I want to see this interview in November.
Hold someone's political views against them if I didn't agree with them. Some of my favorite players, they're playing the sport I love, and they play with passion and heart and humility, and they have different political views. That doesn't bother me in the least.
Yeah, it's not just sports.
But it does bother them, Dean, and you have to understand whose show you're on.
It's also obviously Hollywood, and almost
obviously
to every single award show.
Baby eaters.
That you try to tune into, in some way they make it political, so those numbers are down as well. You
mean people aren't going to movie theaters? You do realize how much money Netflix is making right now, right? I mean, between Amazon and Netflix, they are out like diversitying each other like crazy. Netflix is buying up foreign television shows as fast as they can get them and dubbing them and calling them Netflix originals, because look how great we are with Spanish people and Korean people and look at us putting on Brazilian shows. Aren't we diverse? You just bought the shows and it's UHF. You're being a UHF channel circa 1979.
We expect anything to be political tomorrow night from you?
Absolutely not.
Good.
It's about family, it's about togetherness, and it's about celebrating those values that we all hold dear.
Oh, so it is political then. Apparently those are values that you hold dear that other people don't hold politically because they're anti-family.
And family is certainly one of them. Anne Margaret gets a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is wonderful, especially because my dad has been crushing on Anne Margaret for the better half of the century. And I told him, I took a picture with her backstage, and I was like, Dad, look at this. He's like, are you kidding me? Look at my son.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and who else?
Julianne Hough does a great dance tribute to her. It's a wonderful show.
Who else is involved that you've really enjoyed being?
Okay, guys, I guess it's time for me to tell you guys I'm part of the whole show. He and I had a dance number too, and it was fantastic. I play Lois. That's why I've been growing my hair out.
A part of that effort.
That effort. What are we talking about again?
Well,
by the way, that's the guy that walked out on Mike Lindell, the guy who pulled off his mic and split so he wouldn't get pulled into a $1 billion lawsuit. That's him. He's one of the main editors
of the actual show itself.
Yeah.
I loved Julianne's performance. I can't really give more away. Haley Reinhart has a beautiful voice and does some wonderful stuff. There's some members of some of the shows I mentioned that do some really fun stuff. It really just feels like a nice, warm place. And half of my childhood, there goes Julianne right there. But half of my childhood growing up, the Brady Bunch and
They recreate some of Anne Margaret's dancing, I guess.
And Happy Days, and those shows were just so important to my son. To my brother and I. We just would watch.
What's the difference? Your son, your brother. I mean, both of them sit on your lap watching television and then talking about the show afterwards. What?
Them. I feel like I grew up with those guys.
Remember when
you didn't?
Happy Days was considered risque?
Yes. Sing some Grease lyrics, dummy.
A little bit and a little edgy.
Thanks,
Yes.
Elizabeth.
And I think that's really important. And I wish they would stop putting those disclaimers on things. You
Why?
couldn't make a film like Blazing Saddles, was just Saddles.
Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. I've heard this nonsense so many goddamn times. You couldn't make Blazing Saddles today. You just couldn't do it. You could never get away with the jokes they told on Blazing Saddles. It would never happen. A movie with all that kind of language written by a Jewish guy and somebody like Richard Pryor co-writing that, you could never make a Blazing Saddles. Not only could you make Blazing Saddles today, but the Chappelle series had every one of those elements, and it was on basic cable. Do you understand? Like, it is the dumbest. Chappelle's show was on basic cable. It was part of your basic cable package. It was not on HBO at midnight or any of that shit. Yes, Richard Pryor wrote a good portion of those jokes. He wrote Mongo. He wrote all the Mongo lines. He wrote a bunch of those sections. He was going to star in the Cleavon Little part, but the studio didn't trust him to show up not high on set. And he looked like Cleavon Little had this kind of regal energy to him, and Richard Pryor has a very everyman look to him. And so they wanted somebody who was almost Sidney Poitier, like in his just beautiful black man where all these people are acting awful. It creates an even bigger contrast. The more handsome and regal someone looks, it's easier to just, it's why Steve Martin as the jerk works so well, because he's such while he's goofy and funny, he's got a really square jaw and he was really fit. He was a good looking man. And so making him the jerk, breaking him down and him trying to be the disco guy and then being a bum at the end, it works because he's physically, we assume more about handsome people. And so that's why Cleavon Little worked so much better in that role. Yeah. Yeah, in Living Color, I mean, it's close, but I would say that's closer to SNL. But Chappelle's show uses all the language and all the kinds of, just the sketch about the black white supremacist and the sketch about the family that is named the N-word. Honestly, I think in the writing sessions for Blazing Saddles, they would have gone, that's a little too far. So this bullshit that you couldn't make Blazing Saddles, and the fact, by the way, for the record, as dumb as this, I'm just sick of that argument. But think about where we are right now. Newsmax brings on Dean Cain to talk about family-friendly shows that I used to watch with my son, and we would sit there and talk about them, and it was so lovely and all these kind of things. And where are they about to go? You couldn't even make Blazing Saddles today.
It's a sign of the times. What things were allowed, what things were okay at that time. It's interesting to learn that and teach it as opposed to stick it under the rug and pretend it never took place.
Yeah, it's revisionist history that you can still watch Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles is actually a racially forward-thinking film. It's about a black sheriff. He and the Jewish guy, interesting who the writers are, I suppose, are the good guys in the film, and everybody else in it is a complete asshole. And the racists are the butt of the joke all the time.
True.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we will be.
Yeah, Clayton Bigsby, absolutely. The Chappelle sketch, I honestly think, if they, let's have a family.
Watching. Dean, thank you so much for joining us.
That is lost on the racists. So what? You don't define your life based on the lowest rung humans that you could possibly be around. There's 7 billion people on the earth. There's at least 9 racially homogenous countries that believe that there should be no one of any other race in their borders at all still on the planet right now. Just, don't pretend because we live in a democracy and we're working towards like racial diversity and plurality that the rest of the world is. It ain't.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, I'm glad you were had. Oh, God. I mean, obviously, we'll tune into that. It's going to be glorious. All right, I'll do one more, and then I got to bug off because I've got family FaceTime, and then I've got rehearsals again. Today's a long day. Oh, my God. Chauvin verdict emboldens radical leftists. See what I mean? Like, they all get... I swear to... there has to be a memo. They're all talking about... Like, I understand that... Like, when there's breaking news, if you go to CNN and MSNBC, they're going to be covering it by and large. But the narrative's going to be fairly split. Obviously, you're going to see a more center-left thing on MSNBC than you're going to see on, on CNN. And depending on the time of the week, you're going to see people go more left or more right. Like from Chuck Todd to Joy Reid, I suppose. There's some vacillation there, or Reverend Al's show. But good God. And by the way, I'll show you him losing his shit later because I think somebody's looking at the numbers I'm getting on the internet with my giggle fits and going, maybe there's money in this.
A lot about what justice is. He joins.
I'm gonna tell you, listen here, son. Who? Now I'm coming down here and tell you what.
Us tonight, Senator. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm not a lawyer, as I know that you are, but my understanding.
I'm not a lawyer, as I know that you are.
Was you assessed the justice rendered in a case on the terms of that case. So
yeah, that's what you did. You don't do it because lefties, want you to throw some, or they're going to burn your house down. That's not how justice is supposed to work, is it? Confused look, confused look, confused look.
If a guilty person is convicted, that's justice. Why is this case a referendum on the whole country?
Well, it sure ain't. Let me tell you something here to hooty-hoo.
I'm listening to the Congresswoman.
And I just realized while you were talking that I left my teeth at home.
And I'm thinking, no disrespect, but how does anyone get to be her age and believe that drivel?
I don't know what clip they were playing. I don't know if it's the AOC. It's probably the AOC clip. That was what was making around about her going, this isn't justice. Justice would be George Floyd not being dead because of the crime that he was actually stopped for not being a capital crime. I mean, beyond the actions of Chauvin and all that stuff, that the spiral down, that a kid with a gun who had just dropped it, who threw his hands up, that there would be some other option in dealing with a circumstance like that, even available to the cop, because the cop, it's not justice that the cop has to carry that death with them everywhere they go. I mean, literally, if you'll recall, Al Powell, the cop in Die Hard, who he talks to all the time, was taken off patrol, was on his way home, but he had a desk job because he had drawn his gun on a kid with a toy gun and killed him, if you'll recall. That's the plot point of that character in Die Hard, that he can't even do it. And he's talking to a guy who can't get his hands on enough guns in a circumstance, trying to keep him alive.
This to me is what this is all about, Tucker.
Yeah, okay, so it was the AOC.
This is what it's all about, Tucker. Hooty-hoo.
No fair-minded person believes that cops, many of whom are racial minorities, get up every day and go to work hoping for the opportunity to be able to hurt someone.
I don't think that's what she was saying. I'm sorry, did I miss that part of the clip? Did they play a part of the clip where AOC was like, cops wake up every day hoping to crack some heads, especially the women and the black ones. What?
Including but not limited to people of color.
Of cover. Just in case you don't know, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Native American, AAPI people, those are people of color to him. And people of cover wear a sheet with well, he can tell you more about it. He considers himself, I consider myself a person of cover. It's not really a cover, it's a sheet, but, person, call me a duvet American. Just cut 2 holes in it, it'll work.
That's nonsense.
Get me on down there.
But the wokeristas.
The wokeristas. Oh. I see, because she's of Mexican-American or Spanish heritage. Wokeristas. Wokeristas. It's a little sad when your key... he is a duvet American. I'm a duvet American. The wokeristas. Mr. Wokester over here.
like the Congresswoman, they really believe that.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
They really do hate cops
No, she doesn't.
because they're cops.
No, she doesn't. She does not hate cops just because they're cops. The only people who hate cops just because they're cops are people who are driving with expired tags. And I guess, you know who hates cops just because they're cops? Cartels.
They really do want to defund the police, which will result in a fantastic impression of hell.
A fantastic impression of hell. By the way, if you haven't seen Senator Kennedy's impression, his impression of hell, it's fantastic. He opens his mouth. His breath does most of the work.
The wokeristas...
Wokerista, god damn, dude. You actually think that's clever? That's really where, that's wokeristas. That's where, yeah. The wokester, wokerino.
really do believe that when a cop shoots a criminal, it is always, every single time, the cop's fault.
No. No, they don't. Clearly they don't, or they wouldn't bother to say the phrase like unarmed most of the time. Right?
But when
Wokatola. Wokalicious. Yeah.
a criminal shoots a cop, it is always, every single time, the gun's fault.
Oh, I see. Now it's an NRA issue. That's it. Criminals don't shoot people. Guns shoot people. But only cops.
These folks really do have contempt for America. They should have
Or both of you have shit in your ears and are either incapable or unwilling to pay attention to any opinion that you disagree with and immediately attribute the most egregious and violent and negative attributes to those very things because of the gigantic gaping holes in your own soul.
gratitude, but they have contempt. And they're not happy and won't be happy until they take a sledgehammer.
You could have an airplane flying as you just lay down your track. You could have... Sorry.
To America's core. Now,
wait. To bring a sledgehammer... Listen to this, fuckhead. To bring a sledgehammer to America's core.
Till they take a sledgehammer to America.
Reminder 15,000 police killings since... Yeah, but those are not, by the way, Jess, 15,000 police killings in whatever, 20 years or something in a country, 340 million people. Have you seen the murder, gun, drug running, rape statistics? I would focus on the unarmed people and solve that. The idea that cops kill people in the process of their duties should not come as a surprise to anybody who wishes that the Harvey Weinsteins of the world had been removed from regular society and placed into custody a long time ago. We have no illusion that there are not evil people running about us. Peter Gabriel thought Gallagher.
Core.
If the core is racist, bring it. Well, it isn't. If it was racist, then you wouldn't seek to make it work at all. No one is arguing that that police shouldn't be judge, jury, and executioner, that they should deliver people, that people should have a public defender if they can't afford a lawyer, that they should have a jury of their peers, that even after a jury of their peers, the judge should be able to review the sentencing recommendation of a jury and offer a lesser one or expand one based on the understanding of that. There are no inherent aspects of that that Jason Johnson or anybody else is trying to take a sledgehammer to. That's what he's talking about. The core of it isn't a belief system. It isn't the functioning structure of jurisprudence. It's silly. No one is arguing that. No one.
Now, you're saying to yourself probably, look, this is America. You're entitled to believe what you want.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at two anti-vaxxers, I think.
And I agree with that.
Okay, you're just not, and you're allowed to say it, and you're allowed to vote for people who you believe will express that on the floor of the House and Senate, and that those people will present bills that are an indication of your desires, and that those bills will become law, and as long as they're within the realm of the Constitution, will remain law and affect how things go. No, that's not where you're going?
And I have hope for them. Jellyfish have survived 650 million years.
Jellyfish. I like you. I am not convinced that he isn't one. There's a very strong possibility that he might have we might be watching a jellyfish in a suit, who's like crawled by a dryer, got some stuff out of the lint trap, slapped it on the top of his head, and is now passing himself off as a senator. That's entirely possible. I do have to thank him for now having jellyfish stuck in my head. I've known him all my life. It's been so inconceivable. At 13 years, we shook hands and we've been always inseparable. He's cinnamon on my toast. We're so close. It's Jellyfish has a song, between a guy and his penis. It's a great song.
Without a brain. So there is hope for them. But what I'm disappointed in
is your aftershave. That sometimes sunscreen works too well.
Is President Biden.
Oh, he's disappointed in President Biden. You mean him being president part?
Yeah.
Yup. Listen to Tucker. Yup.
But what I'm disappointed in is President Biden.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I think both of us were hoping that he would be more like just kind of a squintier version of Trump.
He has encouraged this.
He encouraged it.
I listened to him last night.
That must have been terrible.
And he knows better.
Does he? I mean, does he?
No one can get to be his age with his experience and not know this is nonsense. And I hear people say all the time, cut him some slack. Maybe he's lost his fastball. No, he knows better. And he
knows better. He knows very well that there is no systemic racism in the country. I should know, because there used to be a lot more people that talk like me here. And now I've got to split power with these nudniks.
He's encouraged it. And it is hurting America, and it is hurting people. And I knew that President Biden would be left of center. I never dreamed he'd be left of Lenin.
Left of Lenin. Oh boy. Hold on one second. Let's see. Lenin quotes. Let's see. Here we go. Let's go. I didn't even realize that. Here you go. Well, let's go. Let's go to John Kennedy's worst nightmare. This is Lenin quotes. This is from a website called Marxist.org. Ugh. Not only is it Marxist, but it's non-profit. The progressive historical role of capitalism may be summed up in two brief propositions: increase in the productive forces of social labor and the socialization of that labor. But both these facts manifest themselves in extremely diverse processes in different branches of the national economy. Ouch. Perhaps the profoundest cause of disagreement with the Narodniks, no relation to the Nudniks, those are the people that John Kennedy has to serve with, is the difference in our fundamental views on social and economic processes. When studying the latter, the Narodnik usually draws conclusions that point to some moral, He does not regard the diverse groups of persons taking part in the production as creators of various forms of life. He does not set out to present the sum total of social and economic relationships as a result of the mutual relations between these groups, which have different interests and the different historical roles. That's in his book, The Development of Capitalism in Russia, The Mission of Capitalism in 1899. Of course, capitalism was entirely resource-based at that time, and the idea that somebody was an inventor as a living was, in 1899, was near impossible. There was like 7 people inventing shit. And the early ones who had really made a go at it had been beat to death by the church. If democracy, in essence, means the abolition of class domination, then why should not a socialist minister charm the whole bourgeoisie world by orations on class collaboration? I know. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, that sounds like something. That's like I would honestly, if I was Biden, I would lean into that. Let's see. Let's go with something like this. Let's see. Left of Lenin. Like, why would he bring up Lenin and not Marx, right? Marx is the theoretical idea. Why would John Kennedy bring up, and this is kind of important, why would he bring up Lenin in particular? This is why. Because in the vernacular of the right and the kind of conversational aspects of it, one of the ways that they downplay Hitler is they upplay Lenin. And they go, well, you know, yeah, sure, Hitler killed a bunch of Jews and gay people and, committed a bunch of euthanasia and got rid of a lot of people, you know, who were mentally challenged or physically deficient. But he doesn't hold a candle to the deaths that Lenin caused. One of the most murderous leaders in the world, 93 years ago, Lenin died on the 21st of January 2021. Lenin died having killed an estimated 3 million of his people. Acres, the Liberty Summit in Europe, will bring together scholars and heroes. There he is. Look at him. And I guess, is it his left or our left? I'll go with his left. Let's go, because I was going to go Biden's probably. Is that young Joe Biden over here? Is probably his left, though. So, over here. Look at young Joey. Little Joseph Biden just hanging out there going, yeah, well, try this on for size. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, oh yeah, we can do Stalin as well, sure. But this is, we are marching in a compact group. Oh, see, that's what it is. Look at this. That's how Biden's worse, because he's not even allowing compact groups. They're big groups. Along a precipitous and difficult path, firmly holding each other by the hand. Gay. Yeah, obviously, you know, the left's mission is just brutal. You know, I don't have to tell you guys. Yeah, so this is why they bring up Lenin and Marx, because you know Marx didn't have the ability to kill anybody. I mean, he obviously, you know, in this whole like Democrats are the real racists kind of thing. I'm surprised they don't bring up Marx more, because he was a big fan of racial epithets, particularly ones towards black people. He wasn't particularly friendly, and the system that he was kind of talking about was meant to be, you know, racially homogenous and exclusionary, so that, you know, yeah, well, there should be Marxism in other countries, but those people should stay in those countries and do them there and not come here, unless they're really hot or something. Was Lenin leading a riot and looting? Yes, he was really good at it. Kill millions and get away with it? Yeah. Like wood. I don't, yes, I have, that's on my other computer. So I don't, did I move, is that in there? No, I don't have, I have to move over the,
Great to be with you, Dick.
Thank you.
And we developed just some very good friendship.
I only have a few in here.
You know what the hell? Good old boy syndrome is what I call it.
That's what I think when it's, you know, when you're hanging out John Kennedy and Tucker Carlson. Yeah, okay. So I've got another couple minutes. Let me see if I can bring up the Tucker Carlson laugh thing, because that's so odd. Yeah, man, it's even it's... Oh, this is, so, and it's, his problem is with our dear friend Ted Lieu, who, for the record, is frigging awesome. Love Ted Lieu. Let's see. Let me bring this up. There we go. See, bring this over there. So he's talking about Ted Lieu. Ted Lieu struggles to make semi-coherent argument is the name of this. I don't think so. I think Ted Lieu's pretty good at making his argument. I don't know what part they're cutting into this, but we'll see.
Or you're being replaced.
Oh, God, that's loud. And by the way, this is, understand, I guess, looking into this, that his laugh, his exaggerated laugh, is him trying to say that this idea that we're talking about white replacement, and that's what our fear is, what I've been arguing on the show, that in and of itself is absurd. So he's laughing at it as such, okay, just to be clear. That's why, beyond him becoming a lunatic, the reason he's exaggerate laughing is because he's, for all the practice he's had, he's actually a fairly shitty liar.
Or you're being replaced, and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up. Or you're being replaced, and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
He's just reenacting what the Fox exec said to him, and why he's being moved to Fox Nation, and then they're gonna punt him off of the night. They're gonna give him a chunk of Fox Nation, and then slowly but surely scoop him out as they put other people into his time slot. So it's not really the Ted Lieu thing.
Or you're being replaced, and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
I mean, that's like, speaking, I mean, that laugh is so classic. I'm surprised Dean Cain hasn't, they're not giving it best laugh in a 1950s sitcom. It's, I will say that I definitely lose it on the show sometimes and crack up, largely because of the level of absurdity that I deal with on a regular basis on the show, and I think it's well warranted. But at least mine is friggin' genuine. You know what I mean? Like, I try not to. Sometimes it's just so goddamn funny that I just lose it. That's contrived. This is a guy trying to sell his own I'm happy to people. That is a huge thing. That he doesn't feel comfortable enough to just be exasperated at his own thing. He has to make it absurd and laugh. Yeah, when I'm laughing, I'm laughing. Oh, are you gonna play the? Oh yeah, the. Let's see. This was great. Whoops. I can type. Sure I can. Why not? Yeah. So Mike Lindell, while he was having his 24-hour, where is he? Yeah, it was on the daily. There we go. Yeah, this. Oh boy. This is. Oh gosh. Mm-hmm. So they decided to do a 48-hour. Frank is still not up, I don't think. Hold on. Before I check that, let me bring something up, and I'm going to look at this. Hold on. Frank speech. And I got, oh my God. Oh, look at that. They've got more stuff. Okay, it's basically the same goddamn page you had before, but it's on the digital version. They've literally just switched the whole thing to a, look, I'll show you. They just switched the goddamn thing to a phone. Why is there a double of that? That's so weird. Huh? What is happening here? What's that? Get out of it. Oh, I see. Maybe this is... no. Get that out of the way. Okay, there you go. I accidentally clicked on something and you can see it, I guess. All right. So, this is the current state of Frank's speech. Frank! I do like the idea of getting Fwank, F-W-A-N-K, or maybe F-W-A-N-Q, Fwank, or F-R-A-N-Q, Frank, and like your Q-based free speech network, and just create a dump page and go sign up now for Frank. For true Q, oh God, I could just, the mailing list. So, okay, so this is what happened. So in case you missed it, he thought they got a call, somebody, and he's like, they pranked us. They're trying, and he turns it into kind of an attack. But you have to understand, lighten up, Francis. You have to understand that he goes, we're being attacked. And somebody got a hold of his phone number, which I don't think is that hard because he gave it out at a bunch of instances, and he gives it out to everybody because he's a lunatic. And there were a bunch of these like yes men groups and folks like that got a hold of it and posted it or have it or whatever, that are just pranksters anyways. But all you got to do is change what your phone says when it comes up, and this asshole will buy it. It just said like office of Donald Trump, and he was like, oh shit, and it's literally something you can go onto your own Verizon account page and change what shows up on your caller ID. I put robocaller. I've changed it to, mine says potential spam because I don't really want to talk to anybody. So my phone, yeah, it says potential spam. It's prank.com. Yeah, prank you. Flankenfuffer. He definitely has a problem with euthanasia. Okay, so here we go.
Sir, breaking news here with a guest. Hello.
I don't know, by the way, who hold on, let me see this. So let's see. Scary, viral, kids. Yeah. I don't know why this woman is working on his show. I honestly, like, when she first came up, I was like, Jesus! Oh, okay. And by the way, still the highest tech. This fucker, oh my God, he's got millions of dollars. Millions. He pays this Brandon whoever and the production team all this money. They built this little studio in a hollowed out mine shaft or quite frankly, it's a back room at My Pillow's factory, let's be honest. And they just do stuff at night after the shift is done. But why doesn't he have, he's like, oh, we got a call. Here, I'll Bluetooth the sound directly to there. I can do that. I would never do that, but I can. Because my phone is linked to my computer via Bluetooth, and I can just send the audio to and from. I can give and receive phone calls on my computer. They could hook it right up, and they go, oh, the president's calling in. We've got your laptop in case you got to take calls or whatever, and somebody calls you on your phone, and you want to put it in because you're talking, because Mike Flynn was in there and all this shit. Okay. The idea, okay, just a jackass.
Hello, yes, I have Mr. Trump on standby. Are you ready?
I've got Mr. Trump on standby. Are you ready?
Ready? Yes.
And apparently he's got to adjust his crack. Are you ready to talk to Mr. Trump? Yeah, I am. I gotta, hold on one second. I had to adjust. Trump's on the phone. I almost rolled a ball just thinking about it.
Go ahead, sir. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And I can't tell if that's somebody doing an impersonation. Hello, everyone. Or if they've got one of those Trump soundboards.
We have the president here, our real president.
Our real president, everyone. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Everyone. Hello, Mr. President.
MacronShow.com, bitches.
I couldn't, by the way, it sounds like he's saying MacronShow.com.
MacronShow.com.
Macron. Does anybody know what it was? What it actually was?
MacronShow.com, bitches.
Macron?
Okay.
All right.
I
Sorry,
guess that
folks.
wasn't. I guess that was. You see what they're doing? They're
You see what they're doing? You see what they're doing?
attacking us.
They're attacking us because we're right. Because it's true and everything I'm doing is exactly right. We're being attacked by MacronShow.com. Hold on. It wouldn't be right if we didn't at least try to go Macron. Whoops. show. Oh yeah, so this is this is the dude. It's they're just a prank show. Okay, so so he's got here. This is what these guys did. Macronshow.com. These are these guys, and so they have these little cartoons and they do little prank calls. Mike Lindell, there it is. IT Tech loses temper. So they're just like, versus Ron Blackman. And that's them. They did it live, I guess, on their stream. Oh, and they put up prank. That's cute. The voice of Ron. Well, it's probably the easiest show ever to name. In this episode, Ron and Ray take great pleasure in Mike Lindell and his failed attempts to set up a brand new social media and decide to do their bit to get involved with Mike announces they do it for the show ended up starting super early, and we're busy working on this for hours beforehand, but I think the end result was worth it. Being true professionals, we ever managed to set up. So they called in like, is there a way to get in touch with? And they worked their way through it or whatever, but they apparently go live. I don't know. This is very nice. They got a good setup. I'm just saying. Oh, okay. So they're doing the same thing that on Twitch. They have a Twitch, like I have, HalSparksLive.com, bitches, or, HalSparks.live, bitches. So, these are the people who pranked him. Macron Show. So they're attacking him. And by they, people who don't actually take him seriously at all because he's a frigging clown. But tell us who was attacking you.
They're attacking us, and this is what I'm.
This is.
I mean, that even came up. They're hacking into our phones. It came up.
They're hacking into our phones. Jesus, man. Nobody has to hack your phone. You're a sucker. There is no hacking required. Phishing is not hacking. And I know some hackers are going to get mad and attack my show with this, but phishing is not hacking, okay? Hacking is breaking into the code of something and basically bypassing the security. Phishing is like, right, we need you to enter in your Google password, Grandma, and then they do it and then they steal it, basically. It's just a form of like identity theft. It's low end. It doesn't require any real skills. You're a liar, not a programmer. Nobody's hacking your shit, dummy.
That it was a legitimate number.
Call.
A legitimate. I know the number's coming from.
It's a legitimate number. I know the number's coming. So basically, they just took a number for the office and just put that in, and like, oh, it'll come up as my number instead of the actual number, which will be really tiny and you won't see it. The name will come up and he'll see the giant letters with his cracked out eyes and do that. Oh my God. Yeah, Dominion is hacking using Obama as the wedge. Okay, I got to go. I got 5 minutes to get ready for my family FaceTime. You guys are wonderful. I have to do family FaceTime, and then I got to go to rehearsals. And I will, let's see, tomorrow, because I don't think I have daytime rehearsal tomorrow, so I won't be as doing as much stuff, thankfully, that I can, and because I have nighttime rehearsals and a full run through. I'll be running lines, and then I'll do the show at regular time here. So I'm going to do basically 3:30 to 5:30, if that works for everybody, while I'm on the East Coast time. 3:30 to 5:30 East Coast, EST, just to remind everybody. And I will try it. And if that works for everybody, we'll stick through that through the rest of through next week. Yeah, if that works for everybody. And then, and then I'll do a regular Saturday show is obviously at the normal time because I have to do that for radio and I'm not working. So love you guys. Appreciate you guys coming by. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you guys for the we had a we're 4 shy of subscribers under our 700 number on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Hal Sparks. If you want to subscribe on there, it helps out the show. If you're an Amazon Prime member, it doesn't cost you anything. So you can sign up using your Amazon Prime account, and you get 1 free subscription a month that you can use on us, and then it pays for the show. It gives a little help to the show, and it doesn't cost you anything. And then what else? That's it. Okay, I gotta go. You guys are wonderful. I will see you later, and I have to hand cue the music because it's not all built in right now, and I will do it, and I'll enjoy the music, and I will see you guys later on. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Don't forget, we have the 7th is the live streaming show and I will have a link for patrons for the show. So I will be able to comp patrons for the live stream of 12th Night on the 7th of May. So it's a Friday night. So there you go. That's good news. All right. Cheers, everybody. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye.
How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell? That was really cool, by the way.
We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
Just follow the money.
I'm your huckleberry.
It's good to be the king.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
Geez, you're real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
Bureaucracia. To me, Corona means Italy.